Scott Kelly.
Good evening. It was not a close call for us today. The most amazing story that we saw, hands down, involves a courageous young U.S. Army sergeant severely wounded in Iraq, and the amazing surgery that gave him arms, two real human arms. The operation on 26-year-old Sergeant Brendan Morocco of New York was performed in December, but today we got our first look at the results. David Martin has the story.
Well, pretty much now.
When Brendan Morocco moved his arms today, he made medical history.
I feel like I'm getting a second chance to start over after I got hurt before.
He was gesturing with transplanted arms.
Rotate a little bit.
Not prosthetic arms, but real arms from an anonymous donor who had died.
It feels amazing. It's something that I was waiting for a long time. And now that it finally happened, I really don't know what to say because it's just such a big thing for my life, and it's just fantastic.
Amazing and fantastic because Brendan Morocco was the first quadruple amputee from America's wars to survive. Just barely, as he told us when we first met him nearly 3 years ago.
I died 3 times, came back.
Died 3 times. Flat pulse?
Yeah, it's flat out dead.
His vehicle had been hit in Iraq in 2009 by an Iranian-made roadside bomb, which severed his carotid artery and tore off all 4 of his limbs. Which is harder? The lack of arms or the lack of legs?
Lack of arms, by far.
By far.
Without legs, you can still be independent. You know, without arms, there's so much more that you can't do.
A team of 16 surgeons, led by Dr. Andrew Lee at Johns Hopkins University Hospital in Baltimore, performed the 13-hour surgery last month. Before that, there had been only 6 successful double hand transplants, and never anything like this.
We knew arm transplant can help people, but we didn't know whether we could transplant so high up in the arm.
Morocco will have to go through years of physical therapy, which meant the decision to do the transplant was as much psychological as medical.
With the determination and stamina that Brendan has demonstrated, we had no doubt this was the right thing to do for him.
His doctors predicted Morocco will eventually be using his hands for just about everything.
You know, I never really accepted the fact that I didn't have arms. So now that I have them again, it's almost like it never happened. It's like I went back 4 years and I'm me again.
Brendan Morocco was discharged from the hospital today. No one will be watching his recovery more closely than 4 other servicemen who have since joined him as survivors of quadruple amputations.
Amazing, David. Thank you very much. We've been talking in the newsroom all day about how this is possible, so of course we turn to Dr. John LaPook. John, you think of all the connections that have to be made, the veins, the arteries, the bones, the nerves. How did they do it?
Scott, the idea was exactly that, to match up all of these different tissues in Scott's body with the tissues in these transplanted arms. First, they connected the bones using plates and screws. Next, the muscles and the tendons were connected. And finally, the blood vessels, the arteries and veins, so important for bringing nourishment to these newly transplanted arms. Now, what's so fascinating is that the way that the nerve supply is going to be reestablished is that the nerves from Brendan's own arm, from his own body, are going to slowly grow down into the transplanted arm at a rate of at most 1 inch every month for the next year or 2 years, and then reestablish that nerve supply. So it's going to be a couple of years before we really know exactly how much function he will regain.
The nerves know where to go. Now, what about rejection? These arms came from someone else's body. What are the chances they would be rejected?
Well, they're trying something new. It's been used only 5 times before that allows them to use only 1 anti-rejection drug. These can have a lot of side effects instead of 3. What they did was they took the bone marrow cells from the donor's spine and they gave them to Brendan. And what these donor cells will do is hopefully trick Brendan's immune system into thinking that these newly transplanted arms are part of Brendan's own normal body, and then they won't reject them.
Amazing. Doctor, thanks very much. Today,